Are you ready to think big and act bold? Then you are in the right place. This is Innovative Entrepreneurs, a podcast that will bring you the stories, insights, and tips from some of the most successful and innovative entrepreneurs in the world. I am your host, Erica Bailey, and I am here to help you start, scale, and sustain your own entrepreneurial journey. Let's get started. Today we have a very special guest. He is the founder of Dare to Be Safe. It is a safety consulting and training company. He has over 14 years experience in health, safety, and environmental compliance, working with major companies in various industries. He also has many professional certifications and recognitions, such as Certified Safety Professional and Rising Stars of Safety Award. He is a lifelong learner and a passionate educator who has taught courses and published an article on risk management. Today, he will share with us his own insights on safety leadership, culture, and performance. Lance Norris, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Eric. I really appreciate this opportunity.
You know, I met Lance during something that we've been doing here in Wyoming, and to be honest with you, he's a really great guy. And if you're talking about education, he has this passion for teaching people and for making sure that people are safe through these educations. Now, can you tell me, Lance, you started as a W-9, right? Like you started in this industry as, underneath, a company or umbrella, right?
Yeah, as a W-2 employee, I did.
Yeah, W-2.
Yeah, I was working for a contractor, a large contractor, and it was a great experience for me. It was a great way to start my career because they got me in and out of a lot of different cultures. Anybody who talks about company culture, if you've been in and out of multiple companies like you get to as a contractor, you get to experience that firsthand. I got to work in ExxonMobil and Chevron and a lot of other big companies, big Fortune 500 companies, and you get to see that there's a different culture in each of those companies.
Well, fantastic. So let's talk about culture. What was the difference? Like, talk to me about kind of the culture within both of those industries.
Oh, sure. Yeah. So, at least in my experience, and I realize everybody may experience culture in their own way, but at least in my experience, I found both cultures to be very employee-centered. One of those cultures, and I won't give away which one, but one of those cultures is a little more centered on operations. Mm-hmm. One is a little more centered on people. Both very people-centered, but one a little more on people, one a little more on process. Both are important. You can't run a business without people and processes. And they're both extremely successful companies, but it was fun for me to see the differences in those cultures and just the different attitudes in the people that you meet and talk to.
Wow. Actually, that was very well said. So Lance, how many years did you work as within these industries?
14 years. Yeah. So I graduated from Utah State in 2009, and then I made the move into this industry. I didn't pick safety as a career. It's one of those things where it kind of picked me. A buddy of mine called me and said, "Hey, we're really busy with an oil field boom, and we could use some extra hands on deck." And he said, "Where are you at?" I said, "I'm going to graduate college in 2 weeks. And after I graduate college, I'd be happy to come help you because I'm trying to figure out my next steps." I wanted to go on to law school was my thought, or go into education and work on getting an advanced degree in education. But so it worked out great. I thought I'd give this a try for a little while. The economy, that was during 2008, where the rest of the world was experiencing a crash, the Great Recession. And then the oil field was doing pretty well at that time still. It would take a crash later, but it was doing pretty good at that moment. I thought I'll ride it out, and I did, and loved it. Very passionate about what I do.
And that was here in Wyoming, right?
It was, yes, yep. I was here in Southwest Wyoming.
Graduated from Utah State?
From Utah State. Yeah, with a degree in history, the degree in political science. I got 2 bachelor's degrees, both centered on pre-law, but decided that this was more fun.
Yeah.
I listened to a YouTube video around the same time that said, he was thinking about going into law school, and his boss said, well, you can go into law school or you can go into business. One, you got to decide, do you want to document other people's decisions or do you want to make decisions? And I realized I wanted to be a decision maker. I didn't want to document other people's decisions. And so that was a decision moment for me.
Wow. That makes sense. It's actually kind of one of our next questions is, but I'm going to have to say, Utah State, I am a diehard Sun Devil, so forks up.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll forgive you. I'll forgive you.
Real Aggies.
So this is a big leap from going to working for somebody. And like you said, you wanted to be the decision maker, but this is a big leap from going to working with somebody to building an entrepreneurial dream, right? So like, what was your why? Why did you choose this?
Well, that's a great question. I've thought about starting my own business since the moment I watched that YouTube video. I knew I wanted to be a decision maker and I wanted to be the captain of my own destiny. And I listened to a podcast. So a couple of years ago, I was working in Pinedale, in the Jonah Field, Pinedale, Wyoming, and I was driving back. It's about a 3-hour drive from where I live. So I had lots of windshield time to listen to podcasts. And I was listening to a small business podcast. I'd give them a shout out if I could remember which one it was. But anyways, so these podcasts are great to get these ideas and exchange of information. But I was listening to this guy talk, and he was talking about working for someone else. And he said he came to the realization that he was allowing someone else to put a ceiling on his potential, whether it was earning potential or just what he was capable of doing. And he realized that as a W-2 employee, he was allowing someone else to put that ceiling on him. And that was his aha moment. And when I heard him say that, I thought that is exactly how I'm feeling right now at that moment.
Yeah.
And so I adopted that philosophy that I wanted to be the captain of my own destiny. And as a W-2 employee, I wasn't allowing that to happen. I was allowing myself to be have a ceiling put on myself. So
okay, so then you just decided to start your own company.
Yeah, so it was at that moment. So we had decided that my wife and I had talked about it for quite a while that we wanted to, but there's a lot of things that scare you about starting your own business, right? Finance has been number one.
Oh yeah.
I have 4 kids. I have a beautiful wife. My primary goal in life is to provide a good living for them. And that's my value. And so I'm going to do whatever I can to do that. And so for a couple of years, I really held on to, I don't know if I can do this because I don't know if I can meet that responsibility.
Yeah.
And when I heard that podcast where, I needed to take control of my own destiny, I needed to take the leap and do it. That gave me enough of a push that I realized I was ready.
Yeah. It kind of happens in a moment, right?
Oh, it does.
It really is a split-second decision. It's like you either leap into darkness or you leap into, your own visualization of what you want your dream to be. I actually had the same kind of experience. Now, Jason and I have been in business for 15 years, but, recently I had to make this decision. It can happen at any time in business. It's, I've got to make a decision and it scares me. I've got to make a decision that could hurt me financially. I got to make a decision to grow, but I don't know what that looks like. But you have to just jump, right? You just have to take that leap and look at where it's brought us, right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So talk to me about Dare to Be Safe. Now, I personally know what this business is, but I'd like our viewers and listeners to know because I really don't think many people, unless they're in your industry, know what you have to go through to have some of these jobs, to be on training, you know what I mean? So talk to me a little bit about Dare to Be Safe.
Sure. So if you want to run a business in the United States today, the first thing, and the first thing you've got to do is file with the IRS and get your FEIN number, your Federal Employer Identification Number. And as part of that, I think we don't always understand the full responsibility that comes with that. But one of the responsibilities we have is to meet the minimum standards set forth by the federal government.
Okay.
And when it comes to occupational safety and health, they've set forth minimum standards to get employees back home to their families at the end of every day. OSHA was established in the early 70s, and it really became like an additional amendment to the Bill of Rights. It's not technically so, but it really became an employee's right to a healthy and safe workplace. And so, as employers, we have a responsibility to provide that to employees. And there's 46% of the employees in the United States are employed by small businesses. And the reality is most small businesses don't have the resources of an ExxonMobil or a Chevron or a Barrick Gold Strike, or a number of other companies that I had the privilege of working for and seeing their culture and seeing their safety performance. And so I realized that there was a gap in the marketplace and that we could fill this gap by taking what I've gained from that experience and helping smaller contractors. My main focus is smaller contractors, doing what I can to help them meet their obligation to get their employees back home safe. Because number one, it's an ethical and a moral obligation for us to do that. Yes. But also, it's our license to operate. If we don't operate in a safe manner, companies don't go to work. So in my industry, there's pre-qualifications that are done before a contractor can go out and bid work at a large facility or for a large company. And one of the things that they'll do in that pre-qualification is they'll look at the safety performance of that contractor. And if they're having too many incidents, they don't get in the door. And so it's a pretty stringent requirement that these smaller companies provide good training and good safe practices to their employees.
What kind of businesses have these requirements?
Oh, sure. So any manufacturing facility is going to have these requirements. I mean, Coors over in Colorado, I've done some work for them in the past. And chemical facilities, manufacturing processes, mining is a big one. The oil and gas industry, natural gas pipelines that come to our homes, our service lines to our homes, are regulated by the Department of Transportation. And public highways, trucking companies would have those requirements as well. Okay. And power distribution, so the power companies. So there's a lot of industries that fall in this.
So you saw this gap between small businesses and their, I guess, cost-effective way to meet these obligations. Is that what
I did? Yeah. There's really a gap between small businesses and their ability and their resources. Yeah. Because I mean, we only have so many finances. We only have so many resources. At the end of the day, most small businesses can't afford a full-time training staff and a full-time compliance staff. And so they have to outsource a lot of that. And so that's where we come in and can help with that.
So you provide classes or certifications, like how does that work?
Yeah, so we have a relationship with the National Center for Construction Education and Research, NCCER, and they provide a lot of quality craft training. So ironworkers, plumbers, electricians, safety technicians, they have a lot of craft training available. And now we have a business relationship with them. We set it up at the early this year, and we can provide training and certifications with their name on them, because they're a huge organization that's based out of Florida and widely recognized. There's lots of others too. The American Red Cross. We do first aid and CPR training through the American Red Cross. OSHA, we're authorized to provide. I'm authorized as an instructor for OSHA 10 and 30 hour, which you have to be on construction projects. 10 hour for laborers and 30 hour for supervisors. And so we can provide those trainings. Veriforce is a company in the oil and gas industry that provides certifications, and I'm an instructor through them and can provide certifications for their courses as well.
Interesting. So starting this organization, starting this business, what kind of obstacles did you run into and how did you overcome them?
Yeah. So number one is financing, right? And, having the finances to do it. And so my wife and I talked, and we decided we had been saving, and we decided that we would use our savings to to get going. Yes. And, and I see a payoff in the near future. And so, but it's scary to do that. We've been very fortunate to generate a lot of revenue and a lot of business up front that's helped us keep gaining customers and gaining ground. And so we believe our future is bright, and it was worth the risks. You know, I don't think I'd go back and change it. I mean, it's been stressful for sure.
Of course.
But at this point, I would not go back and change it. It's been worth it.
Wow.
It can all change, but I don't take anything for granted, but I'm very optimistic about our future.
Good for you. There you go. That's mindset. I love that, right? You can see and you feel that future ahead of you. And it's like, I know what's happening. I know it's there. I just got to catch up, right? That positive mindset. I just absolutely love that. So I want to hear more about like this company culture. So as you grow, right? Because we know that you are, as you grow, what kind of company culture do you want to build?
Oh, I want to be people-centered. I think people are the heart of our economy. I think they're the heart of life. And we can be enriched by our experiences with one another. And so people are at the heart of it. So my focus is going to be on putting people first. I mean, we have to have production. We can't afford to do this if we don't have production. But putting people and their needs first is going to be a cornerstone of our culture. That and patriotism. I mean, we believe in giving back to those who have provided our freedoms. We're fortunate enough to live at a time where we can live the American dream, and that wasn't provided for free. That came at a great cost, and so we want to pay that forward in any way that we can to veterans and to military personnel, because we're so grateful that we live at the time that we do, and we're able to live the American dream. We have the freedom to go out and do things that people in other countries can only dream about.
Wow. I love that. And, thank you, because I truly believe that you should give back without expecting anything, right? And if you do that, if you are kind and if you're generous, those good things come back to you, right? If you're not asking for it, you know what I mean? You're doing it because it's something that's important to you. The good things will come back to you. Karma, baby.
I agree 100%. I think it was Zig Ziglar who said, you can have anything you want in this world as long as you're willing to help enough other people get what they want first.
Yes. Yes.
And I believe that, there's an abundance of resources. We tend to think in small terms, but I think that there's a unlimited potential in this world, especially in the United States, and we've got to go after it.
Yes. Yeah. You just go after it. You vision it. You believe in it, and then you take massive action. So putting people first. I love this. My master's thesis was on organizational behavior and how healthy workplaces create healthy people. And I truly believe that your businesses need to be people-centric. And if you are putting the people first, the production will happen with better quality and faster. I mean, it's proven that if you're able to put your people first, the rest follows, right? So give me an idea, what would you do? I mean, what does putting people first mean to you?
Well, so we do incident investigations, unfortunately.
Okay.
And when you're doing an incident investigation, it can become about the root cause, and it can become about why did this happen. But taking a moment to just remember to ask, how are you feeling? Are you okay? What can we do to help you? Because I know this injury has had an impact on you and your family. How can we help overcome that impact? And so that's in service delivery. But to my employees, I mean, I want to provide an environment where we have just open discussion and an open exchange of ideas. Because the old saying, there's not one of us as smart as all of us.
Yes.
It's so true. We can all build each other up and grow, but that doesn't happen unless we have good, positive relationships with our work groups.
Absolutely. And in order to have those relationships, You have to know who your people are, right? Yeah. They're not Amber. They're not John, John Smith, who works in accounting. If you know John Smith, and if you know, a little bit about his life and maybe what he likes to eat or what his favorite song is, or, you know what I mean? There's little things that we can do in business that really lets our employees know, hey, you are part of this team. We respect you. We appreciate you. And I try to do that in my businesses. We are one, right? Like I am not, it's the round table, right? Like there's nobody at the head of the table. We are one. And that's how we succeed, is through our people, right? It's really not me. It's my team, right? Who is driving that success, right? I'm just the pretty face.
Yes. That those points, you're absolutely right. My problem and my challenge that I face is I'm task oriented by nature. And so I get focused on a task. I think I'm ADD, ADHD to some extent. And I'm either focused or I'm not focused. I'm either hyper focused or I'm not focused. Mm-hmm. And when I'm hyper focused, the blinders go on, and I become unaware of some of the things going on around me. And so it's really, for me, it's a challenge to step back, take a deep breath, and say, how's your family doing? How are the kids? And those moments are important. I believe that everybody that we work with, we should know the name of their spouse, and we should know the name of their kids and the things that they're involved in, the things that are important to them.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't agree more. This is why I believe in you, Lance, so much, is because I understand your personal philosophy and what you're doing. And I see this, this drive that you have to make a difference, to help people. It's your industry. It's a different industry than what I'm in, but ultimately your goal is to help people and make them better so that they can come home safe to their family. Again, it's about the people. That's one reason that I, truly admire you, Lance. I think that's fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I admire you too.
So how do you adapt your safety approach and strategies to different industries and contexts? Like, do you have to change things based on the industries, or is it all kind of the same across the board?
There are differences. Really, when it comes to the craft professionals, it's different. Birds of a feather flock together. And like attracts like. It's the simple law of attraction. Uh-huh. And we tend to be attracted to the people that care about the things that we care about. I found that to be true in the safety profession. Most people that work in my industry, they have a drive to help people. When it comes to different crafts, I mean, they look at things very similarly. And so I find that I end up adapting my safety training and my message based on the craft more than I do the industry. Because if a guy's running an excavator, doesn't matter if he's on a mine site or on a construction site, he's going to think a little differently than an electrician, who has to be very alert. I mean, so the equipment operator's alert of their hazards as well, but there's a very life-threatening condition with electrical shock, right? And so they have to be very methodical in their process and in the execution of their work. And an excavator, they have a little more leeway with their equipment.
So it really sounds like, you have a very good idea of who your buyer persona is. You can identify really the needs of each industry or each job.
Yeah.
So we have a good idea as your buyer persona, which we always say you brand first, then you have to understand your buyer personas, your avatars. Who are the people that you are trying to reach? Because you don't want to communicate excavators to electricians, right? Like the message isn't there. So making sure that you understand who your audience is awesome. You are on the right track with that. How do you think mindset helped you get to where you are now?
Ooh, yeah.
I get tricky sometimes.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. You have to have the mindset. We've all been around negative people, right? Mm-hmm. And negative people whether they would admit it or not, they choose to be that way.
Yes.
And it's a mindset. And, the victim mentality is a mindset. And so is the mentality of a victor, right? The victor has to believe in themselves. They have to believe that they can do it. And they have to have the mindset that nobody else is going to stop them. They're going to charge forward no matter the obstacle and just press on.
How do you feel about like having the right people around you? Like we say that you're the sum of the 5 people that are around your circle most. Like, do you think that surrounding yourself with the right people is a growth strategy for your business?
Absolutely. Yes. There have been times when I've been surrounded by negative people, and I've been sucked into that. I've been negative, and you really have to surround yourself with good people who believe in you and who will champion you. And then you have to be that to them, right? We can't just be takers. We have to be givers too, and give and take relationships for sure.
I think you just created a TikTok for us.
Oh, God. Yes.
Oh, no, that's amazing. Okay, so what are some of the resources you found useful and helpful when you started your own business? Like, where did you get your support?
Okay, very good question. I've been fortunate here in Uinta County, Wyoming. There was a Jumpstart Evanston Challenge at the beginning of the year, and it's a good process because it makes you go through a business plan. And at first I was like, well, I went through a master's program. I probably don't need to go through all those steps, but it was really good for me to do that and to refine what I'm doing and to refine my vision and to get it down to something. If we're focused on everything, we're not going to accomplish anything. And so we have to dive in and decide what's going to be most important to us. Early on, I had the opportunity to take on some work that didn't align with what I wanted to do. It would have paid good. It would have given me financial security for a while, but it didn't fit in with the vision that we were after. So my wife and I talked about it. We're like, we just can't accept that opportunity at this time because every ounce of energy we spend on that is going to take us away from the energy that's we need to build what we're focused on here.
That's a hard decision to make, right?
Oh,
you have big money you have big money and then you have, sticking to your values. And sometimes, man, that is hard to decide. I mean, it really is. And I think that you said it right. It's like your core value, where you're heading, what you want your future to look like. And if you get taken off the path, nothing happens here, right? So it makes it very, very difficult for you to get back into what you really wanted to achieve. That is a hard decision to make.
It really was. There was a big part of me that wanted to that protector, that provider aspect inside of me wanted to do that. But I knew that I would be sacrificing long-term gains for short-term gains. And I couldn't do that.
That was well said. In order to be a successful business, you have to follow that path, which is why a business plan is very important.
Yes.
One marketing plan is very important because that gives you a roadmap, right? Without that, businesses get scattered, especially small businesses. For example, a bakery, right? This person only wants to bake because that's what she loves to do, right? She loves to do that, but she has no idea what direction to take her business in, right? That ends up most of the time in no longer having a small business because that's what they're focused on is over here is what they're passionate about. So they kind of skip over, the first steps that really make a rock solid potential for growth. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I would. Yeah. Yes, I would. And back to your question about resources that I found helpful. I mean, so that Jumpstart 307 challenge definitely helped with that and to help keep me on track. Because if I had not been going through that process, I would have allowed myself probably to get sucked into something that would have created a lot of brand confusion for my customers. They wouldn't have known what we need, what we're in the marketplace for. And so that helped clarify things for me. And then, the University of Wyoming has been great. They've provided great resources and consultations. Your marketing firm has been fantastic, really, really helpful. I'm telling you, when I heard you guys give your presentation, I thought these are the people I need to be associated with because they know what they're doing. And you need marketing. There's an ad, I'm sure you've heard it on our local radio that said, having a business and not doing any marketing or advertising is like holding a big expensive party and not inviting anybody. So you got to send out the invitations, and marketing is how you do that. And it's not going to grow. It's not going to happen without marketing.
For early entrepreneurs, maybe, in any field, like, what would you say? What kind of key insights would you give, to young entrepreneurs or small businesses, so that they can show success? Obviously, you are showing success. So what would you tell them?
I think one of the things I regret is waiting as long as I did to start. I would be so much further ahead right at this moment if I hadn't have waited. And so whatever your idea is, whatever you're passionate about, and you've got to be passionate about it. If you're not passionate about it, it's never going to work. You have to be all in, and you have to be willing to sacrifice as many hours as you can possibly sacrifice, especially on the front end, because you've got to make those short-term investments to have the long-term gains. And so you've got to really dig in and have the desire. If you're not that passionate about it, if you don't look in the mirror and say, am I willing to give up 80 hours a week to this or 100 hours a week? It's never going to happen. You have to be willing to put in the time and make the sacrifices to make it happen. But also the other piece of advice I'd give is to dream big. Don't limit yourself. Sometimes we think, I want to start this bakery, but I can only sell cupcakes to the 500 people that live on my block. Well, that's limiting yourself. There's so much potential out there with the internet and with digital marketing and everything that's available. I think that the possibilities really are endless. We become prisoners to our own limitations, and we need to free ourselves, and only we can do that. Nobody else can reach inside your mind and change your mindset. You have to do that.
All right. That one's going down on my notes here because I need to remember that. Wow. You really are like the full thing, Lance. I really do like you.
You're way too kind.
So you made this decision. Wife was involved. How many years you've been in business now?
So we just started in January. Well, you're really just going. Yeah.
And how's she feel about the whole thing?
Good. You can't do it without your spouse. If you're in a committed relationship, you can't do it without your partner. And nor should you. You both have to be all in, and she's all in and been a great support, and so grateful for her.
Aw, there you go. We want to make sure that that's loud and clear. So when she listens,
yeah.
You call her beautiful, and that's good support. And Jason and I we've literally been working and living together 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 15 years. And a lot of people thought, that's going to ruin your relationship. You're not going to be able to do business together. But, he's the yin to my yang. Like he's the lock to my key. And even though it has been stressful at times, like he is my partner in life, he is my partner in work. And I truly believe that it's because our collaboration that we've been able to succeed. So whether your partner works with you, actually physically on the business, or works with you and supporting you outside the business, it is extremely valuable and will help you stay motivated to succeed, right? So you said you're getting some clients, and like, what are your methods right now? Is all word of mouth or?
Yeah, so we've been very fortunate. All of ours has been word of mouth so far. Well, so I take that back. So I mentioned VeriForce is one of the systems that we go through. There's another one called ITS, which is Industrial Training Services. Pipeline companies go to those places, those websites, looking for people like me that can do evaluations on their task trading. And so I've gotten some work from that for sure. But a lot of it has been word of mouth.
That's the cheapest marketing you can get.
Yeah.
It is very proven. All right. So you are where you are today. What are the next steps for your business? What are the next goals?
Yeah. So we're working on hiring a couple more employees and hope to have that in place within the next month or so. And we're working on, so we haven't done much with the computer-based training aspect. And so there's a lot of opportunity there. It just takes a lot of time to record those trainings, to edit those trainings, to produce those trainings. And so that's really the next step is to be working on those. Now that we've got our ground game established with some of the instructor-led training and the evaluations and kind of bread and butter things that we can do. These are the things that will be like passive income opportunities for us as we build those. So we'll start working on those in the next couple of months and launching those things.
This is my trick question. And I don't know if my team tells you what my questions are beforehand. I just let them run it. But who do you think is the most innovative entrepreneur who has impacted you or impacted the United States, and why?
Okay. So I had this conversation with my wife because, yes, we did get that question in advance. And so we did discuss it, and she came up with a better answer than mine. I love my answer, though. Two come to mind for me. Steve Jobs has just always been somebody that I've looked to as an innovator, somebody who set out to solve problems, and he made it big by solving problems. He didn't make it big by trying to make it big. He made it big by trying to solve problems. And the same can be true of Elon Musk. Elon is bold, and I appreciate his boldness. He's somebody that I look to as just nobody. When he makes up his mind, nobody is going to stop him. Nobody's going to talk him out of it. It's going to happen. He will find a way to make it happen. Yes. But my wife's answer was John D. Rockefeller. For those who may not be familiar with his story, I mean, he started his company during the Great Depression. You want to talk about excuses to not do it. He had a long list of excuses not to be successful. And he still found a way to, because he had a change of mindset. He realized that this was an opportunity where most people saw negative circumstances. Yeah. And they certainly were hard and difficult circumstances, but he found a way to optimize during that time and became one of the richest people ever in the history of the United States because of that. He started with nothing, and bought the mining company that he was working for eventually, and grew it up to be a hugely successful business enterprise. He
was the captain of his own destiny.
Yes, he was. Yes. Yeah.
And he dove, both feet in, and he saw his vision. I mean, if we really look back, that's exactly, what all of these entrepreneurs have done. They saw a need, they created a vision, and then they provided a service that helped the people around them. And they were passionate, and that's what has driven the success. They were passionate about solving a need for the people around them. That's a good one. I think all three were good, but I might have to give your wife an extra.
Yeah, she was surprised on that one for sure.
Love it. I love it. So, where can our listeners find you?
So we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on. You can go to www.daretobesafe.com and you can find us there. And when you spell our name, it's Dare, the number 2, the letter B, and then safe. And that's how you find us. So, and we're out there.
You are out there. And, I really am rooting for you. I have a feeling that you're going to do great. Good luck and congratulations. And again, thank you for joining us.
Okay. Thanks, Eric. I really appreciate you having me on.
No problem. Wow. What a great episode. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you want more of this goodness, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications for future podcasts. And if you found value from this, please share it with others. You can visit our website at cwgdigital.com. This is Erica Bailey. I am your host, and I will see you next time.